If there's one animal with a reputation for being lazy, it's the sloth. We see them in memes, in movies, and we even have a word for lethargy named right after them. They're the undisputed poster child for taking it easy. They move so slowly that algae literally grows on their fur. But what if this isn't a weakness? What if I told you that being slow isn't laziness, but a biological superpower? What if their entire existence is a masterclass in efficiency, a survival strategy so finely tuned it has allowed them to outlast giants and thrive where faster animals would simply starve? The truth is, the sloth's slowness is one of the most brilliant and misunderstood adaptations in the entire animal kingdom. So, prepare to have your perceptions turned upside down. We're about to explore the incredible biology that makes the sloth nature's slowest success story and uncover how a simple diet of leaves forced the evolution of the slowest metabolism on Earth, turning a supposed weakness into a stroke of genius. Part 1. The problem: a diet of leaves. To understand the sloth, you first have to understand what it eats. And what it eats is, to put it bluntly, terrible. Sloths are what biologists call folivores, a fancy word meaning they are obligate leaf eaters. They live in the lush tropical rainforests of Central and South America, surrounded by what looks like an endless buffet of green. But this buffet is incredibly deceptive. Leaves are one of the most difficult things for a mammal to live on. Think about the food you eat. Fruits are packed with sugars for quick energy. Nuts and seeds are full of fats and proteins. Meat is a dense source of calories. Leaves, on the other hand, are mostly made of cellulose, a tough fibrous compound that is extremely difficult to break down. For us, it's just fiber. We can't get any real energy from it. On top of that, leaves are shockingly low in nutrients and calories. A sloth would have to eat an enormous volume of leaves to get the same energy a squirrel gets from a handful of acorns. To make matters worse, plants don't exactly want to be eaten. As a defense, many leaves are laced with toxic compounds that can be harmful if eaten in large quantities. So, the sloth faces a huge biological problem. How do you power a mammalian body on a food source that offers minimal energy, is hard to digest, and is potentially poisonous? Imagine trying to run a high-performance sports car on nothing but lawn clippings. It just wouldn't work. The engine needs high-octane fuel. It would sputter and die. In the same way, a typical high-energy mammal just can't survive on leaves alone. This is the central challenge of the sloth's existence. Every single aspect of its biology, every bizarre quirk and seemingly lazy behavior, is an answer to this one relentless problem. The sloth didn't just find a way to run on lawn clippings, it completely redesigned its engine to be the most fuel-efficient machine imaginable. It solved its energy crisis by forcing a level of efficiency that borders on the miraculous. And the first, most important adaptation, the one from which all others flow, is a radical change to its internal engine, its metabolism. Part 2, the solution. Part 1, the internal machine. The secret to the sloth's success starts deep inside its body, with an internal engine that runs at a speed defying mammalian standards. The core of their strategy is an incredibly slow metabolic rate. Your metabolic rate is how fast your body burns calories just to stay alive. Most mammals have a predictable metabolic rate for their size, but not the sloth. Studies show sloths have one of the lowest metabolic rates of any mammal, burning calories at about 40% to 74% of the rate expected for an animal of their size. In fact, the three-toed sloth holds the record for the lowest metabolic rate ever recorded for a non-hibernating mammal. This isn't just a little slower, it's a fundamental rewiring of their physiology. This ultra-slow metabolism is the sloth's primary answer to its low-calorie diet. By burning less energy every second, it dramatically reduces the amount of food it needs. But how does it do this? A key factor is its body temperature. Most mammals, including us, spend a ton of energy keeping our bodies at a constant temperature. Sloths, however, are heterothermic, meaning their body temperature can fluctuate by as much as 10 degrees Celsius, dropping as low as 20 degrees, 68 degrees, and rising to 35 degrees, 95 degrees. By letting their internal temperature drift with the rainforest air, they save enormous amounts of energy. When it's cool, they can become almost reptilian, slowing everything down even further. And when it's hot, some studies show they can actively suppress their metabolism to avoid overheating, a trick almost unheard of in the mammalian world. This energy-saving principle extends to their very flesh and blood. Muscle is metabolically expensive, so sloths evolved to have less of it. Their bodies are made of only 25–30% muscle, while most other mammals of a similar size are around 40–45% muscle. They've traded brute strength for lean, energy-efficient endurance. Of course, getting any energy at all from leaves requires a unique digestive system. Inside a sloth is a massive, multi-chambered stomach that can account for up to 30% of its body weight. It works less like a stomach and more like a giant, slow-moving fermentation vat filled with specialized bacteria to break down the tough cellulose. This process is unbelievably slow. It can take a single meal anywhere from a week to an entire month to make its way through the sloth's digestive system. This glacial pace allows their gut microbes the maximum time to extract every last calorie. This slow digestion is incredibly efficient, but it also means they can't eat very much, reinforcing the need to conserve every bit of energy they so slowly acquire. On Part 3, the solution. Part 2, the external toolkit. The sloth's internal engine may be running on fumes, but its external design is a marvel of engineering perfectly suited to its slow-motion life. Every physical feature is tailored to a world where energy is the most precious currency. The most iconic features of a sloth are its long, curved claws. They might look menacing, but they're not weapons. They're grappling hooks. These claws, combined with a specialized limb anatomy, allow sloths to hang upside down from branches with virtually no effort. Their tendons have a locking mechanism that lets them stay suspended even while completely relaxed. They don't hold on to branches so much as they're latched on. This upside-down posture is itself an energy-saving adaptation, letting gravity do most of the work. Their movement is the very definition of deliberate. On average, a sloth travels only about 41 yards a day, less than half the length of a football field. This isn't just a result of low energy, it's a calculated part of their survival. Adding to this caution is their surprisingly poor eyesight. Three-toed sloths suffer from a rare condition called rod monochromacy, which makes them essentially colorblind and gives them poor visual acuity, especially in bright light. Two-toed sloths may have some limited color vision, but their sight is generally poor too. Navigating the complex world of the forest canopy with blurry, colorless vision means they have to move slowly, using their sense of touch and smell to guide them. Even their fur is uniquely adapted. Unlike most mammals, a sloth's fur grows away from its extremities towards its back. When hanging upside down, this allows rainwater to run off easily. But the fur has an even more incredible secret. Individual hairs have unique cracks that collect rainwater, creating a perfect hydroponic environment for algae to grow. This is why many sloths have a distinct greenish tint, an adaptation that's far more than just decoration. From their hook-like claws that defy gravity to their cautious movements, the sloth's external body is a perfect complement to its internal biology. It's a body built not for speed, but for security, stability, and an almost zen-like efficiency, a physical manifestation of their core philosophy. Never expend energy when you don't have to. If you're finding this journey into the slow and fascinating world of the sloth as amazing as I do, take a moment to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We explore the hidden genius of the animal kingdom every week, and you won't want to miss what's next. Part 4, the payoff, the superpower of slowness. So the sloth has a slow metabolism and a body built for hanging around. This solves the food problem, but it seems to create a much bigger one: predators. In a rainforest teeming with jaguars, ocelots, and harp eagles, being slow and weak sounds like a recipe for disaster. But this is where the sloth's strategy reveals its true genius. Its greatest weakness is also its greatest strength. Slowness is its superpower. Most predators are visual hunters, their eyes expertly trained to detect movement. A rustle in the leaves, a flicker of motion, these are the triggers that start a hunt. The sloth, by moving at a pace that is almost imperceptible, simply doesn't register as prey. It moves so slowly that it effectively becomes part of the background. They aren't lazy, they are stealthy. They survive not by running away, but by never being seen in the first place. It's the ultimate game of hide and seek, and the sloth is the undisputed champion. This invisibility is enhanced by that famous green algae-covered fur. That greenish tint isn't just a sign of a slow animal, it's active camouflage. The algae living in its hair provides a natural, living coat that helps the sloth blend in perfectly with the sun-dappled canopy. It's a living ghillie suit cultivated by the sloth's own biology. This combination of slow movement and natural camouflage makes the sloth incredibly difficult to spot. They spend their days hanging motionless, looking more like a bundle of leaves than a living animal. They have traded the fleeting high-energy defense of speed for the constant, low-cost protection of stealth. It's a strategy that has served the sloth lineage well for around 64 million years. Modern tree sloths have been perfecting this technique for the last 30 to 40 million years, long after their giant ground sloth relatives died out. Part 5. The wow factor. A walking ecosystem. Just when you think the sloth couldn't get any stranger, you discover that it's not just an animal, it's a habitat. That algae-covered fur is the foundation of a miniature mobile ecosystem, a world of complex relationships that adds another layer to the sloth's incredible story. This ecosystem includes fungi, beetles, and most notably, a specific group of sloth moths. Several species of these moths live exclusively in the fur of sloths. A single animal can host over 100. They are born there, they mate there, and they spend their entire adult lives nestled deep in the sloth's hair. But the most bizarre part of this relationship centers on one of the sloth's most vulnerable moments, its weekly trip to the bathroom. About once a week, a sloth makes a slow, perilous journey down from the canopy to the forest floor just to defecate. This is incredibly risky. On the ground, the sloth is clumsy and exposed. For years, scientists were puzzled as to why they would take such a risk. The answer, it seems, lies with their tiny passengers. As the sloth relieves itself at the base of a tree, female moths crawl out and lay their eggs in the fresh pile of dung, which serves as a nursery for the moth larvae. Once mature, the new moths fly up into the canopy to find a sloth, and the cycle begins again. So what does the sloth get in return? This is where the story comes full circle. Research suggests this is a three-way mutualism between the sloth, the moths, and the algae. When the moths die, their decomposing bodies release nutrients like nitrogen into the sloth's fur, which acts as a fertilizer for the algae. A richer coat of algae means better camouflage. But there might be even more to it. Some scientists have found that sloths will actually eat the algae from their fur. This algae is rich in fats, which are scarce in their leafy diet. So by carrying around this entire ecosystem, the sloth might be cultivating its own nutritional supplement, a little garden providing both camouflage and calories. It's a complex, beautiful, and utterly strange loop of symbiosis. The sloth helps the moth helps the algae helps the sloth. For centuries, we've misunderstood the sloth. We've labeled it lazy, a sinner, the lowest form of existence, as one early naturalist put it. But we were looking at it all wrong. We judged it by our standards of speed and strength, failing to see the profound strategy hidden in its slowness. The sloth is not an evolutionary failure, it is an evolutionary triumph. It took on one of nature's toughest challenges, surviving on nutrient-poor leaves, and solved it with breathtaking adaptations. It re-engineered its metabolism to become one of the most energy-efficient mammals on the planet. It transformed its body into a perfect tool for a life of deliberate, patient movement. And most ingeniously, it turned its greatest perceived weakness, its incredible slowness, into a formidable defense, a cloak of invisibility that hides it from predators. It even became a walking ecosystem, cultivating its own camouflage and maybe even its own food through a bizarre and beautiful partnership. From its giant, ground-dwelling ancestors that once roamed the Americas The modern sloth has evolved into a specialist of the highest order, a creature perfectly in tune with its environment. Every aspect of its biology is a lesson in efficiency, a testament to the idea that there's more than one way to win at survival. They show us that success isn't always about being the fastest or the strongest. Sometimes it's about being the smartest and most efficient. However, this perfectly adapted lifestyle is now under threat. As deforestation shrinks their rainforest homes, their specialized strategy becomes a vulnerability. And recent studies show that rising global temperatures may push their finely tuned metabolism beyond its limits. The sloth, an animal that has survived for millions of years by perfecting the art of doing less, now faces a world that is changing too fast. They are a quiet, slow-moving reminder of the delicate balance of life and the urgent need to protect the incredible biodiversity of our planet. The sloth is not lazy. The sloth is a survivor. If you want to keep exploring the secret lives of Earth's most amazing animals, check out our video on the equally misunderstood octopus. And don't forget to subscribe and join our community. Thanks for watching.